I've never had this bike down since I've had these on here until I rolled it out to make this video. You can't be doing that. Okay, Rick in the war room with you today. Hopefully I've got my autofocus problem fixed here. Going to talk a little bit about crash bars, luggage racks, and actually bags. And I've got two videos that are going to be rolling around in there. The first one's going to be the pre-crash crash bars and the post-crash crash bars. Also, I bolted these bags onto the side, and this is what happens when you hit a fence and clip the 4x4. I thought I had enough room to go through between the Suburban and the fence, and heard an unusual sound. Didn't know what it was. Till, of course, I got off the bike. That's what it was. Huge gaping hole. And then on a trail, I hit the other bag, crossed some rocks, and ripped it. Not quite as catastrophic as that, but definitely bad enough. And I think I've been looking for other solutions, nylon bolts, something like that can act as a breakaway so that I've still got the strength, because they all come with these saddlebag. I wish I had something around here. These basically saddlebag straps that go across the top. Sometimes they're laced up, sometimes they're Velcro. That's what these were. And I just hated them flopping around there. And plus, it never seemed like I could truly get them secure. So I bolted those through. Well, they're secure to a fault, to the point where if you actually hit something with them, then they'll rip the bag. So I'd like to come up with a solution where I could use maybe a nylon wire tie or something like that, something with a 50-pound test on it or something. That way, if I do clip something and it'll just break the wire tie, hopefully, and then I can just carry some with me and get the bag up and going again. I haven't figured out what I'm going to be doing there with that. But crash bars, luggage racks, those bags. And then also here in the video too, we'll talk about the rear bag real briefly, but we'll wait for the video to get started, and then we'll go ahead in there. So let's go ahead and watch the video now. Okay, YouTube, we're going to be talking about crash bars and rear racks for the DR650. I made these. I couldn't find any that I really liked, and so I fabbed these up in my shop. And the truly funny thing here is I've never had this bike down since I've had these on here until I rolled it out to make this video. The kickstand kind of winged back and it fell on this side. Now normally crash bars are used in on this type of bike anyway, on soft trails and stuff like that, and I guess occasionally highway, but it held up just fine, didn't get smacked or bent around or anything, so I guess my welding is holding up, but I couldn't believe I did it. A lot of the crash bars you see will come up basically about to this level, and I wanted something that would come up a little bit more. Number one, because I didn't want to scrape up the bike like I had on the other side, but also because I was worried about possibly rocks or whatever getting in and hitting some of these other engine components. So I wanted something that would stick out a little bit more. And I use the typical mounting points, the foot peg mounts, and the engine. But I noticed after I made this that some of the other stuff actually mounted to one of these lower bolts. And if I ever modify these, I'll probably make it so that it does that a little bit, goes to one of the lower mounts. But you can see the exhaust and everything like that is fairly well protected. And of course it goes all the way around. Now they don't get in the way of the brake. It was a little bit of an adjustment because I thought I left myself plenty of room here, and there is enough room to get your foot under there. I haven't done this with riding boots yet, so if I get on there with riding boots and I find that I'm just not getting enough clearance, I mean, I've got these big old hiking shoes. This is what I'm using now, and I can get in there, and I'm pretty well used to it. But if the riding boots are more, then I'll probably just make that angle drop down a little bit more so that I can get my foot in there. As far as the rear racks go, I kind of combined a couple different designs that I liked. So what I did, and hopefully there's enough light here, looks like I can see it, is I put a piece of steel bar here with 4 bolts that go through. And 2 of those bolts actually go right into these, there we go, into these center mounts here. And I made these center mounts so that if I wanted to at some point I could put a Rotopax on here. I would just have to drill a couple holes and make that happen. The other subsequent bolts just go through the back of the hard case itself. And I've gone down some pretty bumpy roads with these things already. And these racks are holding up great. They also have the small slits for the Wolfman bags, because I'll probably get Wolfman bags for longer trips. And I wanted to be able to keep my stock bars here for the rider. Okay, so this is where we wanted to stop the video. Right there you'll see a bungee coming down from my rear tank bag. And that was actually pushing that little trim piece that goes over the exhaust pipe and the heat shield right on there, and it was actually melting. Tim just spotted it when we were out taking a break. And it's one of those things that when you're riding the bike, and especially when they put those spacers in there, you think, well, that'll keep it off of there, and it doesn't. After you get everything strapped down, and you don't really pay attention to look at it again because everything's secure, that's kind of what happens. So I've got kind of an ugly piece on my rear fender trim there. So just a heads up. And I wanted to have just enough clearance for my tail lights there, so I wouldn't have to move them around. So that's worked out just fine. But between the front and the rear crash bars, those are great. Now the skid plate I also fabbed up, and I wish I could tell you that I used a bunch of name brand stuff when it came to the protection in the luggage, but I didn't. This is a diamond plate, 1/8 inch diamond plate skid pad, or skid plate, and I hear rocks and everything clunking against it every now and then, and it's doing its job, so can't really complain about that. I think the next thing I'm going to make, I know they make a heavier screen for the oil cooler, but I think I'm just going to take some expanded metal and use the existing mounts, and that'll protect against rocks and things a little bit better than what the standard one is. Definitely this upper protector here, I think that'll help keep the bike off the ground, give me a little bit of clearance to get my feet out from underneath it if I'm stuck underneath it. So that's what we got so far. All right, well, according to the Rough Rocks video, which you may or may not have seen, you can hit the link and go to that. My custom crash bars did a very good job protecting the bike. However, this side actually got pushed up into the shifter lever, and this whole bar was pushed clear up against the tank. So me and Tim were able to yank it away from the tank, and then it's kind of sort of straight. I think I'm probably going to live with it, because as these things go up and down, they'll probably continue to get a little bit tweaked over time. I'm not really that worried about it. It's not horrible. But I never want to have to deal with the shifter or potential for the brake problem again. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add these, and it's difficult to hold the camera and do this at the same time. There we go. So I'm going to put those in there in some sort of capacity like that. And so this whole part closest, black part, is going to be gone that way. Okay, so I just used my grinder to make some saddle cuts here. And then these are going to go down in there like that. And I'm going to try to keep right around the same depth. Again, I want to try to use these to assist my skid plate on the bottom. So I'll go ahead and tack those in place, and then I'll do the other side. Once I feel everything's good and square, I'll do a dry fit on the bike. Once it seems like everything is working good, I'll go ahead and take it off of there, put on my permanent welds, and another coat of paint. Just a side note, when grinding and cutting things off, never do it on top of a pile of trash. Okay, so here we are. New improved design, as opposed to coming straight out and over here. They now taper on the inside, which should still allow plenty of protection for everything. And if it gets banged up, then it's not gonna smash clear up into my shifter lever there. And then the same thing over here. Got plenty of clearance now. This is probably the better design. I should have done this to begin with, but as this was my first set of crash bars I've ever fabbed up, going to chalk it up to experience. Now, these are still a little bit wiggy. The one over here is just a little bit more forward. And you know what? I think I'm just going to call it good. It really doesn't bother me that much. These things are going to get pounded around, and that's what caused this whole problem. Is I hit a ridge of solid volcanic rock that just wasn't going to move, and well, the crash bars did, but they did their job. Nothing got smashed. This cage didn't get pushed into anything, and so I'm actually pretty pleased with how they performed. It was a real hardship out in the woods trying to get this freed up so that I could use it, and I just me and Tim banged it enough so that we could get I could get a toe under there and shift up and down. This is still a little bit bent, but just doesn't really bother me too much. So I'm gonna grind down my ugly welds and put a fresh coat on the crash bars, and I'll stick them back on the bike. This project will be done. You can't be doing that.